Hello and welcome again. Good to know you're there. Thank you so much for your previous watch time. Thank you for your encouragement. Thank you for liking, sharing, and also your comments. Please keep them coming. We appreciate them. They're encouraging. They're the reason why we get up to do more videos. Thank you so much. Now let's get to what we have today. Now we already started with zinc, dietary zinc, and we'll consider the historical parts, the sources of zinc, and looked at the absorption. Now, normally we should look at metabolism of zinc in the pattern. If you observe, you'll see what to expect. Now, the reason why you see in transportation is because sequel to absorption. It's zinc, just like many other elements or their trace elements we looked at, minerals, are transported to different sites where they'll be fused. Now, metabolism, it's actually somewhat not exactly what it is here. Now, metabolism will have to do with the breaking down of that particular nutrient in form of catabolism, a part of metabolism, and then rebuilding it in a different way that particular or different sites of the body, the tissues, will require. For example, if it's a protein or amino acid, it is actually first brought down and then built up again, restructured in such a way to fit in the pattern of the way in which it's going to be useful in this part of the body or this tissue will require it. So metabolism has to do with the breaking down and then rebuilding again, if you have to put it that way. Now, in this case, we will not talk about breaking down of zinc. It just has to do with absorption and then carried. Now, what happens with zinc is this. Now, zinc is transported in the bloodstream. Once absorption is done in the small intestine, the jejunum and ileum precisely, it's carried and distributed widely to the parts of the body. Other places where you find them, particularly zinc, organs of the body, has to do with, we talk about the liver, probably even the bones. The bones, first you see the liver, and then you see the muscle, bones, the muscles, the liver, and then you'll find zinc in the skin. There's also zinc in the prostate gland. Now, these are the sites of the body where you find zinc. Now we talked about zinc being very crucial in determining maturity and growth. Now, in bones, it does explain. Now, zinc's function has a lot to do with proteins, and that's what we're going to next. It has to do with protein, the synthesis of protein. For example, now transcription in DNA and the other synthesis. Now, look at some other important facts. Zinc is components of more than 3,000 enzymes. You would agree with me that enzymes, more often than not, are proteins. So involved in the synthesis of components or whatsoever thing, structural components of more than 3,000 enzymes, 300 enzymes in the body. And also in the transcription factor, does play an important role in DNA synthesis. You already know DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. Is the genetic factor, actually the engine room that determines genetic traits that is transmitted or transferred between a parent and the offspring, or the parent. You still call it the parent even if it is plants or human or other animals, the parents to the offspring. So in synthesizing, in the forming the production of DNA, zinc plays an important part. And also in cell division, you know, there's usually cell is defined generally previously as the smallest major component of the body. Now cells divide, and then each daughter cell mature, and then at a point it divides again. So in the process of cell division, zinc plays important role. We'll look at it in the next class. We'll be looking at functions. We'll look at some of these things detailed. And then immune system regulation of the body. The immune system has to do with the body internal security system, such that to prevent pathogens. Pathogens are disease-causing organisms from actually breaking down the body, either for human or for lower animals. So the immune system is the natural defense system of the body. So zinc in building and having the components of the defense system of the body, zinc plays vital, crucial role. Now, regulation of zinc in the body. It's important to regulate the quantity, in quotes, or amount or level precisely of zinc. Now, you have said this in previous videos that you talk about most components or most nutrients or enzymes or whatever in the body. They are usually in a certain range. You can't always say for most of them it's the exact number. The exact number is say between this and this, between this. So the levels are actually in regulation. Certain organs or hormones or enzymes regulate the quantity or level of different fluid or nutrients in the body. Now, zinc is regulated through the absorption process that goes on in the intestine, and it's usually excreted also if it becomes too much. The excretion through the liver, through the spleen, and through the bile and internal secretion. Now, why is this? Why should this happen? Why should this happen? The regulation, controlling. Regulation has to do with the word control. That's control. Control of the amount of zinc that is in the body. Of course, you know, when we go to deficiency symptoms, which is going to be this, we'll be looking at the effect of having it too high, that is excess, or the effect of having it too low, which happens in most cases, in some cases instead of the excess. So the regulation of it, the control of the quantity, the levels, is actually because of homeostasis. Homeostasis has to do with maintaining a stable balance of internal body system. You maintain it such that things are not going way out or too low. So this is how the body controls. It's a super unique mechanism. The body is regulated by different components, certain chemicals in the body. Good chemicals in the body are regulated by different tissues or organs or hormones themselves or enzymes. Now, to this end, we want to put an end, stop at this point at the transportation of zinc to different parts of the body. In recap, we looked at how zinc is absorbed. Once absorbed in the bloodstream through the jejunum, the walls of the intestine, is being transported, and major places where zinc is captured or are trapped, usually the bones, the liver, the muscles, and the skin. Also look at the prostate gland. We're also seeing that over 300 enzymes are zinc is a component factor of over 300 enzymes, and also how zinc is involved in cell division, DNA synthesis, and also immune system building. Also seeing that regulation of zinc is actually done by certain chemicals in the body, which actually controls the levels, whether it's going to be too much. So it's not too much and it's not too low. The purpose is to maintain homeostasis, which is a stable and a balanced internal body system. I want to thank you for staying tuned, for enjoying. Thank you for liking. I want you to stay tuned for the next class where we'll be considering the functions of dietary zinc. You don't want to miss it. So when you take zinc from different sources, I don't know the different sources where you can get zinc in the previous video, when you consume them, when you eat, or when it's eaten by animals, what function do they perform? We've already talked about some of them in quotes in looking at this already. We want to look at them in detail in the next class, so you want to put them. Thank you so much. Let's do it again next time.